Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the ECM podcast. I'm Caroline Fontanieu, and I'm very happy to host this series that will take you behind the scenes of new music on ECM Records. In this new episode, I'm meeting with Swedish bassist and composer Björn Meyer to talk about his new ECM solo album, Convergence, produced by Manfred Eicher. We talked about nature, loneliness, the art of the solo, and so much more. We're celebrating the release of your new album, Convergence. It's your new solo album on ECM, and your last release on ECM was another solo, your first, I think, in 2017, entitled Providence. Is Convergence some kind of a continuation of Providence or more of an arrival?
I mean, definitely it's a continuation of the travel. I mean, it's an ongoing research of what can you do with a solo bass, electric bass guitar, something that's interested me from the first time I picked it up in 83, 84. And since then, I've always been sort of interested in what is still in there. So Convergence is definitely, when it comes to sound, playing, technique, composition, and all the musical aspects, it's definitely a continuation of what started on Providence. When it comes to maybe emotional content and something like that, on a deeper level, Convergence is definitely, it's not an arrival, it's more the process of converging towards something. That's what I tried to find in the title, or what I tried to convey in the title. So it's still in a process.
Yeah.
It's
another step on the journey.
Yeah, definitely.
And what was the compositional journey in these 7 years between 2017 and 2024 when you recorded?
Yeah, it's funny. I thought about that a lot, actually, because it was this long journey. First, it was a long journey from first time I picked up the bass when I started playing professionally in 89 until the first solo album, 2017. That's already a long journey. And so Provenance was sort of a collection of material that had been piling up over a long, long time. And after Provenance, I played quite a lot of solo concerts and met a lot of people and did some workshops and realized that from the first concert I played after release of the album, already things had happened. So even though I played the compositions, there were new things sort of bubbling up underneath the surface, inside the playing of those songs, but also in the improvisations that happen around them. So it was like a stepping stone for me, Provenance, to take next step. So already from the first concert, things started happening. I went, whoa, here's something new happening. And it sort of collected itself in different ideas and developed into new compositions or new playing techniques or new sounds, or without really thinking about it, I'm going to write a new album. It was like all of a sudden I realized, oh, there's a whole new bunch of material, and there's actually, even though based in Provenance, when I play Provenance concerts the last few years, I realized that there's so much new stuff inside of this repertoire that it's actually a new repertoire already.
Yeah, so but it's not exactly the repertoire Convergence either.
No, Convergence. I mean, it's a gradual process into the new, maybe a new stepping stone.
You've been defining a voice on bass for many years, and more in a collaborative context. And I was wondering when the idea of a solo language came to you and came into shape for you.
I never had the idea of doing a solo career or anything like that. as a bass player, I love being a part of a band.
Yeah.
And that's a lovely position to be in.
Love it.
I came to the bass after thinking that I was a guitar player, and I was like, yeah, it was nice to be a guitar player, it's sort of hobby style. But from the first time I played the bass, I realized this is where I feel that I belong, and this is where my ideas sort of can find a base in many senses. But the idea of that there is so much in this instrument, the bass, the electric bass guitar, there is so much inside there that is worth to explore. So I have a lot of old cassette tapes and I don't know what, mini discs even with solo compositions for electric bass. And I did maybe one solo performance by friends or in galleries or something like that, once a year or something. Leading up to 2017. And the trigger point for Provenance was the recording we did with Arno Abraham with Souvenance. We recorded in the Lugano radio studio, which is such a lovely room. And since the orchestra was there, a big orchestra, and there's always these small breaks in between. It's funny now when I say this, I think, was it Dave who mentioned the same with Bar Phillips and him?
Yeah, exactly.
You're involved in a big project, and obviously there are times when the studio or the room is empty.
Yeah.
And everybody is gone. And I was like, oh, I was enjoying this room so much. And again, a similar thing. I felt like if ever I will do a solo project, I want to do it in this kind of a setting, because electric bass especially is something that you plug and play. You don't need acoustics. You don't need, I mean, that's a general way of dealing with electric bass.
Yeah.
And I knew from the beginning that there is so much in this instrument that you haven't heard. You don't incorporate the acoustic anomalies or acoustic specialities of the instrument in a normal recording. And I think also Manfred was around in the studio in those times. And shortly after we started talking, it would be maybe nice to do a solo recording. And so the trigger for me to start really thinking, okay, a solo project, especially, it needs to be incorporating the acoustic components. It needs to take care of the room. It has to be a good room. Lugano Radio Studio is a fantastic room for that. And all those things. And then Manfred said, okay, let's try it. And that was Provenance. And after that, I've been enjoying this sort of travel of trying out the bass and putting it in acoustic rooms and really playing with the room.
Earlier, before we started recording, you were saying like it's a very naked project. It's a very vulnerable project. So how do you deal with this exposure?
I feel, in one sense, yes, naked and lonely in one sense. But I mean, what I've realized is that there are three components. It's me, it's my instrument, and it's the room.
Yeah.
And the room incorporating the audience and the listeners and all that. And I've realized, being able to play quite many solo concerts in different settings, that I don't have to deliver everything.
There's less pressure.
In a way, yes. I have to find a zone where I can be open to react to what's happening in the room. Obviously, I play a note, something happens, and after that, it's a journey. It's a journey together with my instrument and with the room. And there have been numerous occasions where I'm like, where are you going with this? What's going to happen next? It's like running down the stairs, you know. As soon as you start thinking about it, you'll stumble. But many times when I've had this feeling, oh, I'm going to stumble, it's been like the worst thing that can happen is that I stay on a note and there's a boom, or there's a resonance in the room, and that comes back and gives something, let's go in that direction. That's a good thing with being solo. I realize that I don't have a set list. I don't have to decide anything. I can go like 180 degrees turns in no time. And the only one I have to discuss this with is myself and my bass.
Talk to me about the Bavaria Music Studio, the place you recorded Convergence.
I mean, that's also a fantastic room. I mean, it's not built as a venue. It's like a big but beautiful sounding room. So it's a little bit maybe less inspiring in an architectural way than in Lugano. You're sitting on a stage. Okay, you have an empty room, but the room is built for performing, let's say. And Bavaria Studio is more like it's built for work somehow.
How differently is it resonating when you play than Lugano?
It's a little bit bigger. I was thinking that when I was recording, I was like, okay, I have to play this a little bit slower than I would. So some things on the recording turned out a little bit different than I was thinking because the room reacted in a different way than I could have imagined because I didn't know that room. When I came to Lugano for recording the Providence, I knew that room from the recordings we did with Anwar. So I had it a little bit in my mind while practicing and preparing for the recording. And Bavaria, I had been in the room, but I haven't played in there. And there was some fantastic sounding stuff in there. But it was more like a working thing. It was like, yeah.
But it's a different sound also when it's a recording studio. It's drier. It's just
but Bavaria Music Studio, it's a huge room. I mean, that's where the symphonic orchestra rehearses, and it's built for orchestra. It's built for orchestra and film. I think they did huge film.
Yeah, that was my next question. It's a studio that is used a lot for film music, and there's also a very strong sense of atmosphere and images in your music. So what do you see? What do you picture when you write?
It's very, very different from track to track and from composition to composition, from time to time. There are times when I play, let's say, Drift, for example, and I really see a whole sequence of things unfolding. And there are times when I play Drift and I only have a smell, or I only have a temperature or a sound or something in mind. So it's I cannot say that it's music for certain pictures, or it doesn't evoke pictures in that sense. More states of minds, maybe.
And sensorial sensations and
yeah, I mean, there's definitely something. I think if I would say something, it's mostly sound and light, in the sense of
the opposite of darkness or the opposite of heaviness.
Different shades of darkness or brightness, or the sunset sky lit up by a certain light or something like that.
Everyone has a different approach to the music that they hear, and that's the beauty of art. But I saw a lot of landscapes.
Mm-hmm.
I was traveling. I saw a lot of landscape, and I felt a lot of different temperatures too.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, I hope it was not only cold and freezing and blowing.
Absolutely not. There was a lot of warmth, and there was a lot of, warm light. Yeah.
I come from Sweden and live in Switzerland, and the difference in light is something that I realize many times when I go back to Sweden. I almost instantaneously, if I feel like, oh, this is home, and I was thinking many times, what is it? And many times it's actually the light.
The relationship with light is so specific. I really understand what you're saying. And after making this album and coming back to the solo, and I mean, you've been going back and forth since 2017, as you said, with a lot of performances, but do you feel more drawn to Solitude, or you want to go back towards collaboration, or is it a balance between both worlds?
I'm in a very, very lucky position. I'm allowed to play with so many fantastic groups, bands, projects, long-term, short-term, and solo. So I have the best of all possible worlds. Until now, never had to think about, oh, should I go this direction or either or. It's always been a moving circle of coming and going into bands. I mean, my Swedish trio, we have 30-year jubilee next year. Yeah, that's one long-term thing. With Anwar, we play a few concerts next year, and it's also a collaboration that's been going on since 2008. It's lovely. I mean, all this stuff, and I have many fantastic collaborations.
You were talking about light, and we always say that there's no light without darkness, so there's also no pleasure in solitude without band experience, and vice versa.
I mean, if I would have to choose forever only doing this or that, it would be difficult to say.
I would never make a choice.
But I mean, I am very much enjoying and learning a lot playing solo.
Do you feel that both experiences feed each other, like and inspire each other? Yeah,
definitely. There are so many things I've discovered on my instrument and on my own playing by playing solo and writing or trying to construct or compose for solo bass. And I realized lately, I listened to a recording we did with another band. I was like, oh, this is like one-to-one what I found out for the solo project, and vice versa. All of a sudden I got involved with a Swiss traditional music trio, which I never played before. And then again, it's like, oh, I had to learn many things for that. And now I realize I played a solo concert yesterday. There are some things from the work I did to learn that material that sort of creeps in. So it's not an either or. It's like it's all a...
Yeah, of course. I want to talk about your relationship with ECM. Of course, you mentioned Anu Abraham and also Nick Bert. You've been working a lot and for a long time with those two other ECM artists. Those are very different atmospheres, very different vibes, and this heavily influenced your solo work as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's my enormous fortune. Every day I think, wow, I'm a very fortunate person to be allowed into all these different worlds.
There's also like a very strong tradition of bass solo albums on ECM. Oh, by the way, is the title in any way a reference to Miroslav's Emergence?
Actually, I must admit, I wasn't thinking about it. But I mean, Emergence has been a very important album for me.
That was just probably subconscious.
Yes. That was definitely a very important one of many. But yes.
As there's some of those solo bass albums on ECM, I'm thinking about Dave Holland, Bar Phillips, Gary Peacock, Mark Johnson. Is there any of those that are some of your favorites?
I mean, Miroslav, the one you mentioned, Emergence, if there's one solo bass album on ECM that has influenced me over the years, long before I was even thinking about any kind of solo bass. And obviously it's different instrument, but it's the same compositional and the way of treating music felt really close to me when I heard Emergence the first time. The improvisations of Bar Phillips is just extremely inspiring in many ways. And Ebert Weber, of course. But I think many times I come back to any recording where Steve Swallow is playing bass has always also been something that has stayed with me a long time.
How did the first collaboration start? Like how the relationship started with ECM?
It was with Nick, recorded Stoa, the first album. It was released in 2006. We recorded in 2005, I think. And that's when I met Manfred the first time in La Buisson in the studio.
And Manfred Eicher is a bass player as well.
Yeah, he's a bass player.
How is it to work with Manfred Eicher? Talk to me about this collaboration.
Yeah, where to start? It's like on so many levels. It's incredibly inspiring journey. It's like from the very first time we met in La Buisson with Nick Badge. I mean, we were a band. We were very well prepared. We came there, and Manfred, hearing us play as a band, immediately pointing out certain things that none of us had ever thought about. And at the end of the day, you must say he was right. I mean, that's something. Every recording, every collaboration we have ever done, this sort of ability to listen and to sort of, hey, maybe there's something, I have to admit it's right. I mean, this talent and this ability to immediately sort of go into the depth of the music and analyze and find, not just saying, oh, this is not good or this is not bad, but being able to put words on things that makes the music much better and flourish in a totally different way. That's just one of many things, and the presence in the recording situation, and also then in the mixing and sequencing and all that, the presence of telling a story.
Yeah, exactly. You were talking earlier about the sequencing of this album. Was it difficult to go through the sequencing with Manfred, and was it difficult to find an order, because it's not always easy?
It's not always easy. And I came in with a bunch of material in the studio, and I did have a plan. I did have an idea how it could turn out. But knowing Manfred, I knew that, okay, I'll present this. I have full trust, and I mean, just full trust in that it's going to end up in a good way, or in the best possible way. And then at the end, when we were doing the mixing, we were like, yeah, this is good. This is a good sequence. And then all of a sudden he said, let's change, let's put that piece, that's the first. And that became sort of such a different but such a strong story of the album. And one piece led to another, and it was like, it was so into something, his ability to sort of take a step back, even if you're in the middle of, like, we are close to finalizing this thing, and then being able to take the step back and make a fully different decision. And it turned out to be just a fantastic decision. And that's an ability that also magic somehow.
Yeah, that's the magic of a real good producer, and it's very rare, actually.
I don't think it's just now that many people are calling themselves producers. It was already in the 50s.
Yeah,
There were
forever. Yeah.
the people giving the money called themselves producers.
Yes,
We didn't
true.
have any.
Yeah.
The people having the equipment called themselves producers. But this sort of ability to be fully immersed and fully in the center of things, but still have an outside view. I think that's something that's extremely difficult for us, being the composer and the performer, and at the same time, there are so many levels of, like, did I play that right? Is it a good composition? Is this a good? And there are so many levels that are on such a basic level somehow, and then to be able to go on a sort of meta level, maybe, of what is the contents of this, is something that's really difficult to do when you're at the same time recording and performing and being the composer. And that's extremely something important to work with Manfred.
Can you tell me a few words about the sound engineer that worked with you on this album?
It was my first collaboration with him, but from the first moment he was bubbling with ideas. And this is, because it was the first recording of this solo bass in this acoustic room, and he was a little bit sort of wondering at first how we're going to, but he had so many great and crazy ideas about where to put all this. And I played and I looked out, and there were like microphones everywhere and like ideas, maybe from the top, maybe from the bottom, maybe from there. I mean, was that at the end, maybe we didn't use all of his, but this sort of energy of overwhelming sort of creativity on capture this in different ways. Yeah. And I think that also adds to what you call generosity in this album, that it's like, it allows you as a listener to really come into the process of being in.
Yeah, it's inviting. It's very inviting.
Yeah, inviting, yes.
His name is Michael Hinreiner. Is it someone that you had worked with before?
No, I never worked with him.
And that was a nice surprise.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. I mean, we had a meeting before, like a little bit before we recorded, and some email exchange about technical matters and so yeah, it's always different when you meet and you actually work together. And I'm really, really happy. I'm grateful for his.
And also, we sometimes say that the listener is part of what the experience, like what an album is becoming, because the listening experience then adds to the experience itself of this album and its lifetime. And so it really takes a village to record a solo album, and that's the beauty of it. And that's why we're talking about generosity and openness too. It's just that it's you, your instrument, the room that you mentioned, that is a very important character in the story, a producer, Manfred Eicher, with a certain pair of ears, a sound engineer, Michael Hinreiner, who's not anyone, is someone who had ideas and added to the sound, and then sprinkle on top of this just the listeners who are gonna add to the story of this album. And actually, Convergence is now making a lot of sense because everything is converging to one moment of poetry. So thanks for that, Björn.
Yeah, thank you.
Björn Meyer about his new solo album on ECM, Convergence. Thank you for joining, choosing, and listening to our ECM podcast. I'm Caroline Fontagneux, and I look forward to sharing more music with you in the next episode.